Hi, I'm Joseph Hoffman, and in this lesson, we'll begin learning to play the first movement of Sonatina in C major, Opus 36, number 3 by Muzio Clementi. Muzio Clementi was born in Rome in 1752. When he was 14 years old, a wealthy Englishman heard him play and was so impressed, he arranged with Clementi's father to bring him to England, where he was allowed to study and practice music for hours every day. Clementi became famous across Europe for his amazing piano technique and improvisation skills.
You've got mail.
On Christmas Eve in 1781, Clementi was challenged to a piano duel with another young rising piano star, Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart. Both pianists played and improvised brilliantly. Emperor Joseph II, who was hosting the piano duel, declared it a tie. Let's get started learning this sonatina by checking out the score. Here's the sheet music for Sonatina in C major. Don't forget you can get your own copy of this sheet music from the Hoffman Academy store, and you can get this for free if you are a premium member. Let's check out the things that we always check out at the start of a piece. The clefs, we have treble clef and treble clef for the left hand as well. So both hands will be in this treble staff range. And then we have no sharps or flats in our key signature, which tells us we're either in C major or A minor. But from the title of the piece, we know we're going to be in C major. And then our time signature is common time. Don't forget, a C stands for common time, which simply means 4/4. And then also checking out our tempo indication spiritoso. It means with spirit. And so this will be a fast, lively, allegro tempo. Now, just scanning ahead before we try to play this, it's helpful to note what the challenges are going to be. The left-hand rhythms look very predictable. Lots of just this kind of eighth note ostinato, while the right hand has the more interesting rhythms. So let's take a moment to analyze the rhythms. And if you'd like, you can pause and try and write in the counts. I'm going to show you what that would look like for measures 1 through 4. So what I've chosen to do is use an eighth note subdivision. So we'll count 1 and for each eighth note. You'll see I've tried to line that up with what's happening in the left hand because the left hand's keeping that eighth note pulse while the right hand is doing its own thing. And whenever we have 16th notes, we'll switch to a 3E and a 4E and a subdivision. And remember that when you start counting this, you'll have to count it twice as fast as whatever you're counting for the eighth note subdivision. So like right here, we'd get 1 and 2 and 3E and a 4E and a 1 and 2 and. All right. Now, what I'd like to do is try clapping or tapping. You can tap on your lap or tap on the, whatever surface you want to tap on, or clap this rhythm while we count this beat out loud. Pause if you'd like some time to try that on your own first. Otherwise, you can try that along with me. So let's count this beat out loud while we clap. I'll count 1 empty bar first, and then we'll start. Here we go. 1 and 2 and 3 and go. And 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3E and a 4E and a 1 and 2 and 3E and a 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Now, I want to warn you that it's very common to want to rush these slower rhythms. That's why it's important to count this subdivided beat out loud. So you give that quarter note 3 and 4 and then don't forget a rest also takes up a specific amount of time. So counting out loud can really help with that. Pause if you'd like more time to practice those rhythms. Otherwise, now I'd like to challenge you to pause the video and learn the right hand and left hand part on your own all the way up through measure 12. And then we'll take a look at it together. But first, challenge yourself, see how much you can learn, watch the fingerings. Notice there'll be lots of stretches. Notice we've got this 5 to 4 to 2 all the way down to 1. We're doing this C major arpeggio basically, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. try to watch the fingerings, the rhythms, the articulations, like when it's staccato, when it's marked legato with these slur marks. Pay attention to all the details from the start so you build good habits. Learn it on your own from measures 1 through 12, and then we'll check it out together. All right, I will demonstrate the right-hand part. You're welcome to try playing along or just listening. I'll play at a slower practice tempo, and we're going to start with the right hand here at the beginning. I'll count in 4 beats, and then away we go. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and a 4 E and a 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and a little bit louder, 3. Now right there, notice the fingering. If you do a 5-3, then a 4-2, then a 1-3, you won't have to move your hand. So that is the proper fingering to use in a case like this where you've got these parallel thirds. And keep a nice light bouncy wrist. Boom, 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 boom. Think up, up on each of those staccati. 3 and 4. And notice the last one is not staccato. So land on it and then observe the rest by lifting the wrist on beat 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And a little louder. 2 and 3 and 4 and then mezzo forte, and we go into 16th notes. 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And again, at the end of every phrase, do a wrist lift for staying relaxed. It looks fancy and it helps your piano posture by keeping you relaxed. I want to also mention all the many staccatos, or staccati is the fancy way to say the plural of staccato, and then the slur marks. And the contrast between what's legato and what is staccato is really important. Backing up to measure 4, notice we've got a slur on the first 2 notes, and then it goes into a staccato. And the right way to think about that is drop and then lift, down, up. With the wrist, we'll make a nice legato staccato sound. Dee-dum. And the first note should be a little louder, and then this one should be lighter. And that's why we do that wrist up to keep that nice and light. Rest. Jumping forward to measure 9. 1. Again, the same fingering we had before. Lift, and then a crescendo. Keep this really light, but building. 3 and 4, and then forte. With those tenuto markings, which means give that extra weight or emphasis. Now, the left-hand part is so straightforward, I don't even feel like I need to play through the whole thing. The left hand is just going to start with this 3-5. My reminder to you about the left hand is to keep it really soft. It is not the melody. It's just giving a little support. We want to hear this right-hand melody sing out, so the left hand, I would play piano, even pianissimo. Notice how softly I was playing that left hand. It's just background. Now here the left hand gets something a little interesting. And notice the left hand also has these rests. Lift. So it's got to lift during that rest. Try to time the rest. The rest is part of the music too. So the lift happens right on beat 2. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 4 is where the right hand lifts. One tricky thing is when one hand is legato, the other is staccato, and that's right here in measure 7. The left hand is staccato, while the right hand is legato, then both staccato, and then legato again. Very important. Lift, lift. Both hands are staccato now. And tenutos. And so for tenutos, think of sinking in, using your arm weight, keeping everything relaxed, and just use gravity to get a nice full sound. Pause if you'd like a little extra time to practice measures 1 through 12, just hands alone today. You don't need to be doing it hands together yet. First get it confident, hands alone. Then over the next couple of days, you can start working it hands together. All right, let's check out the rhythms for this next section. One thing to watch out for is this grace note. See this little note with the slash? That's called a grace note. And for the purposes of rhythm, we're going to ignore that note for now. Of course, we're going to play it, but basically we don't give it a rhythmic value. We kind of ignore it for purposes of counting the rhythm. So ignoring that grace note, if you'd like to challenge yourself, pause the video and try to write in the counts for, let's do measures 13 through the bottom of this page down in measure 16. Try this in your own sheet music, which of course, hopefully you've already downloaded and printed from the Hoffman Academy store or website. And by the way, I always recommend that you write in pencil, so just in case you make a mistake, it's easy to erase. Pause to write in the counts, and then we'll check it out together. All right, here are the counts written in. You'll notice you could write in one E and a, but when I don't see 16th notes, I usually just write the basic subdivided beat, just the 1 and 2 E and a, 3 and 4 E and a. I save that for just when we need the 16th notes. The only trick is then you have to remember to count these double time, basically. 1 and 2 E and a, 3 and 4 E and a, 1. And then again, ignoring the grace note, 1 and a, 2 and 3 and 4 and a. And then I'll just switch to this E and a style when we need it for the 16th notes, 4E. We could put an E in there just to remember that this 8th rest gets the value of 2 16th notes when we're doing the 16th note counting 4E and a. And then here we've got a whole bunch of 16th notes, 1E and a, 2E and a, 3E and a, 4E and a, 1 and 2. And then note this 16th rest. I don't know if we've seen one of these before. But remember, an 8th rest looks like this, which equals half of a beat when we're in 4/4 time. So 8th rest, then 16th rest with that double little knobby thing. So that's going to be a very fast rest, only equal to 1 16th note to E and a. And so be ready to come in really fast on that E. Here we will have 1 and 2 E and a, 3 E and a. It's going to jump really quickly. 1 and 2 E and a, 3 E and a, 4 E and a. The rhythms are so important in this piece to make it really dance and come alive, so it's worth taking the time to get this right. If you like, you can pause to practice clapping and counting this rhythm on your own, but if you feel ready, let's try it together. We'll count the beat out loud, count the subdivided beat here, while we clap or tap this rhythm. I'll count one empty measure, and then we'll start. Here we go. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And 1 and 2 E and a, 3 and 4 E and a, 1 and a, 2 and 3 and 4 E and a, 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a, 4 E and a, 1 and 2 E and a, 3 E and a, 4 E and a. All right. Pause if you need extra practice with that. These are tricky rhythms, and I want you to feel confident with these. But if you're ready, let's go on to the next page. All right, here on page 2, I recommend on your own that you write in the counts. Again, don't forget about this 16th rest. We'll have a 1 and 2 E and a, 3 E and a, 4 E and a, etc. And then 1 and 2 E and a, 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 E and a, 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 E and a, and then we have a trill. Now, I've written in the trill for you up above. Here is one way you could play this trill. Remember, trills traditionally start on the note above what you see and then just go back and forth. So if you see an A with a TR over it, that means to play this, where instead of starting on the A, you'll actually start on the B and then step down to A, then back and forth. Just the note that you see plus the note above it, starting on the note above, for as much time as you have. See, it's marked as a half note, so you'll just fill up the time, but then sometimes a composer will show you how they want the trill to end. This is called a termination. So the termination or the ending of the trill should end with a G-A. So you'll see I've written all that out for you up above. So we'll have 1 and 2 E and a, 3 E and a, 4 E and a. That's simply how you will play the trill. Again, composers usually don't write that out for you. They just say, do a trill. and you're supposed to know what that means. I've helped you out here, but then on the trill you'll see down here below, I didn't write it out. And you'll just basically do the same thing you did up here. And then in measure 21, note all these eighth rests, and this makes for a very syncopated rhythm. Syncopation being where the rhythms tend to land on the and of the beat. We'll have 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and creates a very playful sound. Of course, don't forget to be careful of all these accidentals. We have a D sharp, an F sharp, but then it becomes a D natural. So sharp here, natural here, another F sharp there, trill here, which we already talked about how to play. And then check out these rhythms. Lots of eighth rests and eighth notes. So it will be simply 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Take the time to write in the counts if that's helpful to you. Otherwise, now pause the video and I'd like you to try to learn, go all the way back to measure 13 up to this repeat sign. Try and learn the right hand part and left hand part on your own, watching fingerings, watching dynamics, watching articulations like these staccato dots. Don't forget this flat line is a tenuto marking, which means to play it with a little extra emphasis. Pause to learn the right hand and left hand part on your own from measure 13 all the way up to the repeat sign. Then press play and we'll check it out together. All right, here in measure 13, notice it's marked dolce, which means sweetly. So we want a nice, delicate sound here. Now, this grace note can be tricky. Bum-ba-da-da-dum, bum-ba-da-da-dum. Let's try this a few times in slow motion. So you're going to play it with finger 1, 1 and 2, 1 and think of both of these happening almost at the same time. You're going to just kind of flip your fingers. Ba-da, ba-da. Just try that a few times on your piano. Just fingers 4 to 3. See how fast? You think of it as one motion, almost like you're you know how when you like drum your fingers on a flat surface? I don't know if you ever do that, but it's that kind of feel where it's just a little flick almost. See if you can get that sound. So you're thinking of it as one motion, 1 and 2. Now you try. So the fingering is 1 and then 4, 3, 2 on the G sharp and then 1 comes back to the A. 1 E and 2. 1 E and 2. Now you try. Now pause if you want extra practice with that, but let's put that all together. Starting in measure 13, we have 1 and 2 E and 3 and 4 E and 1 and 2 and 3. Now pause and work on that section so you can get it sounding like how I played it. It's not going to be perfect the first try. You can slow it down, but work on that and then press play when you're ready to go on. Once again, in this section, we want the left hand really delicate, pianissimo in the left hand, so the right hand melody can sing. Notice how delicately I was playing the left hand. And it's tricky to do this legato and delicate while the right hand's doing some staccato notes. Very challenging. 1 and 2 E and A. And right there is so important you jump right in after that 16th rest. 1 and 2 E and A, 3 E and A, 4 E and A, 1 and 2 E and A, 3 E and A, 4 E and A. 2 E and A, 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 E and A, 3 E and A, 4 E and A. Piano. And then watch those eighth rests. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E and a whoops 1 E and a 2 E and a trill. 1 and piano. Then we're gonna build, build, forte, rest. All right, now I was demonstrating that hands together. For the first couple of days, you're probably going to be working this hands alone, gradually put it hands together. Over the next few days, I'd like you to practice very carefully learning the fingerings, the rhythms, the articulations. Pay attention to all the details so you don't build any bad habits. Watch your score, watch what's happening, and keep coming back and listening to my performance, either from the video, the previous one in this series where I just give a performance, or using the audio tracks, which you can get access to on the Hoffman Academy website as a premium member. That gives you that performance that I give so you can get the sound of this piece in your ears. That will help you learn it so much faster. And then remember, you're not going to play it at full speed from day one. Use a metronome. Set the metronome to a slow adagio practice speed. Maybe you'll start with the metronome at 88 beats per minute, and that could be your 8th note. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 E and 4 E and or you could even start slower than that. Find a speed that's comfortable for you. Remember, the first time you play it hands together, you're going to slow way down. That's why I like to spend some time hands alone first, so you can get confident and get used to it at a faster speed. Then slow it back down for hands together, and then find a speed that works for you. Use metronome, pay attention to all the details, and then you'll just gradually speed that up as you can play it with no pauses and no missed notes. Great job getting started learning to play Sonatina in C, Opus 36, No. 3 by Muzio Clementi. Happy practicing, and see you next time.